Question number 1. The move of moving towards Azure reduces which type of expenditure?
Correct response. Capital expenditure is the most accurate answer.
Question number 2. Which of the following web applications can be deployed with Azure? Excellent choice. All of the mentioned is the right answer. Question number 3. To what should an application connect to retrieve security tokens? Right choice. Azure Active Directory is the best answer. Question number 4. How can you secure your Azure account against unauthorized access?
Well done. By implementing multi-factor. Authentication is the right choice.
Question number 5. Which of the following is a software as a service solution? You chose Microsoft Office 365, and it is correct. Question number 6. Which Azure service is an example of platform as a service? Great thinking. Azure App Service is the right choice. Question number 7. What is the first step to migrate data and applications to Azure? Good thinking. Sign up for an Azure account is the right answer. Question number 8 provides a digital online assistant that provides speech support.
Strong choice. This bot is the right answer.
Question number 9. Which of the following would be best suited for this requirement? Or sharp thinking. Azure Content Delivery Network is the right choice. Question number 10. How many tenants can a user in Azure Active Directory belong to? Nice work. You chose 500 and it is correct. Question number 11. Where in the Azure portal can you manage users and their roles?
Exactly. Azure Active Directory makes sense, and it is right choice.
Question number 12. What are the different categories of Azure Cognitive Services? Well picked. Vision, speech, language, decision, and web search is the correct answer. Question number 13. An Azure Instance Container is an example of a service of dash. Correct. Prosecution is the right answer. Question number 14. Which service in Azure is used for disaster recovery planning?
Smart pick. Azure Site Recovery is the correct choice.
Question number 15. Which Azure Cosmos API should you use for data in basin format?
On track. MongoDB is the correct answer.
Question number 16. Which Azure Cosmos API is consulted using a SQL-based syntax?
Good job. Your answer, Apache Cassandra, works well here.
Question number 17. Can Azure Sentinel connect to industry standard data sources? Nicely done. True is a solid answer. Question number 18. Which service allows you to store data as a graphic database?
Great job. BD do Cosmos do Azure is the accurate answer.
Question number 19. What are the main advantages of migrating to Microsoft Azure? Nice selection. Availability, scale, and cost is the correct and valid answer. Question number 20. Which service in Azure is used to manage resources in Azure?
Solid response. Azure Resource Manager is a valid choice.
Question number 21. Select the cloud service models provided by Microsoft Azure.
Perfect. Todas las anteriores is the correct choice.
Question number 22. Which among these choices is a compute service in Microsoft?
You're right. Azure Virtual Machine is the correct answer.
Question number 23. How can you integrate Azure Bot Service with other services?
Smart move. Using the Azure Bot Framework is an accurate answer. Question number 24. What is the language of the Microsoft service? Trust Portal.
Excellent. Portuguese is a brilliant choice.
Question number 25. Which language is used to query data within Azure Sentinel?
Well reasoned. Quad is the correct choice.
Question number 26. How can Azure Cognitive Services be used to analyze images?
You got it. Your choice, by using the Computer Vision API, is right.
Question number 27. How can you share files with external users in SharePoint?
Valid point. By using the external sharing feature is true.
Question number 28. Azure is Microsoft's Dash as a service web hosting service. Clear logic. Your choice infrastructure is sound and 100% true. Question number 29. With what cloud service providers do we have applications? Right again. Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure is a valid answer. Question number 30. Dash is a fully managed web application hosting platform. Bravo. All of the above is the answer. Question number 31. Which Azure management tools can be used for Windows 10? Smart Pick. A Smart Pick, Azure Portal, and Azure PowerShell is the correct choice. Question number 32. How can you access the Microsoft Service Trust Portal?
Correct. Login with your Microsoft Cloud Service account is the right answer.
Question number 33. In Azure, what does a virtual network allow you to do? Great job. Connect Azure resources and external networks securely is the accurate answer. Question number 34. What is the primary purpose of Azure Active Directory? Sharp thinking. Identity and access management is the right choice. Question number 35. What does Azure offer for the virtualization of desks?
Correct response. Azure Virtual Desktop is the most accurate answer.
Question number 36. What elements is an Azure Table Storage Key composed? You chose partition key and line key, and it is correct. Question number 37. What is the benefit of using Azure for cloud hosting? Perfect. Scalability by provisioning and deprovisioning resources is the correct choice. Question number 38. How does Azure A Platform support custom A models? Good job. Your answer, Azure Machine Learning Service, works well here. Question number 39. How does Azure Sentinel use machine learning and AI? On track. Alert detection is the correct answer. Question number 40. The Azure Sentinel agent is which of the following?
Exactly. Log Analytics agent makes sense, and it is right choice.
Question number 41. In Azure, what is the function of Azure Functions? Excellent choice. Serverless computing is the right answer. Question number 42. Azure Blob Storage offers how many storage tiers? Right again, 4 is a valid answer. Question number 43. What are the main components of Microsoft Azure? Good thinking. Compute, storage, networking, and databases is the right answer. Question number 44. A big data analysis service for machine learning. Nice selection. Azure Databricks is the correct and valid answer. Question number 45. What is Azure Machine Learning Studio used for?
smart move. Building, deploying, and managing machine learning models is an accurate answer.
Question number 46. What are the most requested services of Azure?
Right choice. Web apps, SQL database, and virtual machines is the best answer.
Question number 47. What does the Azure infrastructure consist of?
Well reasoned. Multiple data centers distributed around the world is the correct choice.
Question number 48. Provide serverless computing functionalities.
Clear logic. Your choice Azure functions is sound and 100% true. Question number 49. What is the purpose of Azure resource groups?
Well picked. To act as organizational containers for Azure resources is the correct answer.
Question number 50. Which of the following postulates is correct?
Strong choice. Microsoft Azure has a global reach with local presence is the right answer.
Question number 51. From where can you launch Azure Cloud Shell?
Solid response. Azure Portal is a valid choice.
Question number 52. What types of servers are included in Azure? Excellent. Windows Server, Linux, and SAP HANA machines is a brilliant choice.
Question number 53. Microsoft Azure divides the world into dash.
Valid point. Geographical areas is true.
Question number 54. Detects and diagnoses anomalies in web apps.
Great thinking. Azure Application Insights is the right choice.
Question number 55. What is the use case of Azure App Service?
You got it. Your choice scaling web applications is right.
Question number 56. What is the purpose of Azure Bot Service?
Bravo. To create intelligent, enterprise-grade bots for natural user interaction is the answer.
Question number 57. Provides the platform for serverless code.
Nice work. You chose Azure Functions and it is correct. Question number 58. Which are Microsoft Cognitive Services?
You're right. All of the above is the correct answer.
Question number 59 processes data from millions of sensors.
Well done. Azure IT Hub is the right choice.
Question number 60. Microsoft Office 365 is an example of.
Nicely done. CES is a solid answer.
Question number 61. What does Azure allow companies to do?
Exactly. Run applications and host content in the cloud makes sense, and it is right choice.
Question number 62. Characteristics of the Azure services.
Good thinking, scalability, managed, security is the right answer.
Question number 63. What does SAP HANA in Azure refer to?
Correct. A type of database is the right answer.
Question number 64. Which service model does Azure offer?
Nicely done. All of the above is a solid answer.
Question number 65. Each Azure region is paired and has?
You're right. High availability is the correct answer. Question number 66. Select the correct roles in Azure.
Bravo. Web role, worker role, VM role is the answer.
Question number 67. When was Microsoft Azure released?
On track. February 01, 2010 is the correct answer.
Question number 68. What does SaaS in Azure stand for? Right again. Software as a service is a valid answer.
Question number 69. What is a security group in Azure?
solid response. A firewall for your virtual network resources is a valid choice.
Question number 70. Components of the Azure hierarchy.
You got it. Your choice management groups, subscriptions, resource groups, resources is right.
Question number 71. Why are the tags in Azure useful?
Clear logic. Your choice cost management, access control, compliance and automation is sound and 100% true.
Question number 72. What is meant by region in Azure?
Smart pick. It is a Azure data center is the correct choice.
Question number 73. In which year Azure was launched?
Smart move. 2010 is an accurate answer.
Question number 74. Definition of the SES concept.
Nice selection. Provide the applications like Microsoft 365 is the correct and valid answer.
Question number 75. What is Azure Marketplace?
Well picked. An online store for Azure is the correct answer.
Question number 76. What is a resource group? Nice work. You chose a container of services and it is correct.
Question number 77. What is Azure Portal?
Perfect. A web interface for managing Azure resources is the correct choice.
Question number 78. Benefits of Azure.
Good job. Your answer lower costs. Manage your resources simply. Reliability and security works well here.
Question number 79. What is Azure?
Well done. A cloud computing platform by Microsoft is the right choice.
Question number 80. Hosts web app.
Excellent. Azure App Service is a brilliant choice. Question number 81. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Sharp thinking. Contact Narayan Changder is the right choice.